Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pushing Buttons podcast here on the Pushing Buttons podcast. We give each other titles, so my name is Marks, and I am a mysterious person. What can I say?
What can you say?
I am just so mysterious. You guys have no idea how mysterious I am. Nobody knows anything about my life.
Yeah, like, where did you even go last time? Like, it's so weird. Like, you were gone, and then, like, you're here again.
I know, it's crazy. It's like I filmed a whole ass video that got into the last episode of the podcast explaining where I was, but I didn't.
But I still haven't confirmed that you were actually in London. Like, you turned around and you were like, that's the London Eye, but like, I don't have anything to prove that it's the London Eye. And I'm like, you're right. You could be anywhere. That's any generic giant Ferris wheel.
Yep, Ferris wheel is the correct word. You're correct on that one. But it's the London Eye. What do you mean? That literally looks different than all the other Ferris wheels.
You said it, not me.
Did I actually say that? I'm not going to lie. I was very sleep deprived when I recorded that.
You did say that.
So
you said,
I don't even remember what I said.
So that's the London Eye. You're going to have to trust me. I don't have any proof that it's the London Eye. But anyways, my name is first name Annie, last name Pooh, and I own 5 cars, which is not necessarily true. I don't own any cars, actually.
Okay. Would you like to explain this then?
I don't own 5 cars. Like, what else is there to explain?
So earlier today, we were talking about how Annie has a car. And apparently, Annie's parents have 5 cars in total. So it's just like a massive collection of cars.
Yeah, because like I don't own the car. I drive the car. I don't own it. My car is their car. So when I leave to go out of town, I have to bring the car back to them for safety reasons too. Like, so my car isn't just left out in the street for a week, and people are like, "Oh, that car's been abandoned. Let me smash the window and steal it." Oh, or something.
so it's your car now, huh?
I drive the car, but it's my parents' car. But like when I'm gone, like my dad drives the car, and it's just like, why do you drive the car if you own like 4 other cars you could be driving? It's like it's like what we were talking about earlier. That's the story. I don't own 5 cars.
But isn't it one of those things that it's just like, yes, the grass is always greener on the other side. So the fact that you have this car, when it comes back home, your dad's just like, this is my opportunity. I can drive this car.
I didn't tell you earlier, one of the 5 cars is a Tesla. My car is not a Tesla.
You drive a very compact, normal sedan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a small 4-door car. Like, there's nothing special about it. And then there's my dad with his fancy car. And he drives my car, my boring little car instead. His car, really.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, listen, Mr. Pooh, sometimes you just got to go back to basics. Remember where you came from with a basic sedan. And what better way to do that than drive one around Seattle?
It's like, I don't know. I'm not going to question it too hard, but we've been talking about cars for a little too long. Maybe we need to move on. This is, once again, in a slice of life esports podcast, Pushing Buttons podcast, where we talk about all things esports and about how it kind of like influences our lives in like small, big, medium-sized ways. Yes, Marks?
You missed an excellent opportunity to say we need to drive away from this issue and move into our podcast. But okay, this is the road less traveled. You can continue now.
I don't want to be here anymore.
I'm back, baby.
When we were playing a game. We were having a game night, me and Marks, and I was being really annoying on purpose. I was like, oh my god, did you miss me? And Marks is like, you're so fucking annoying. Oh no, I cussed. I'm sorry. You can bleep that out.
That's fine, whatever.
Or I can do it because I edit the podcast now.
No, you don't. I'm editing this. Okay, anyways.
Anyways, he did not miss me. Apparently, and I did not miss him. I think I might need to cut this episode short and bring in another guest. Please welcome my next guest, the most ravishing man on the internet.
You can just switch us in and out and everything is going to be the same.
Ravishing Ravish. No, just kidding. We have bootleg. We have the bootleg version of the most ravishing man on the internet today. We have the most malicious man on the internet, malicious Marks. Please welcome malicious Marks. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, I'm fucking malicious Marks. What's up, mofos? That's right. I only swore twice, so that way we can make sure that we're not explicit just quite yet. Damn, that's not really malicious, is it? That's actually kind of responsible for me to keep things on track, huh?
It's like, you tried.
This facade is falling apart. You know?
You tried. But, I mean, I haven't had a lot going on. You know, these days I'm just going to work, clocking in, clocking out eventually, and just living my life. What I'm doing nowadays is just focusing on myself. I've been going on hikes. I've been hanging out with local friends and just touching grass and all of those cool things. And I can talk about that more another time. But you,
Me?
my camera just glitched. I'm sorry. I just got really
I did
distracted.
see that.
Okay, so it's not just me. It's not just me. Okay.
The CIA are in.
Sorry. Just really, really awkward timing to get distracted.
Side note, but have we talked about the fact how you could convince me that you worked with the CIA when we first started talking?
Do we need to go through that first before we continue on with your
we can
updates?
talk about that another time. We can talk about
we can talk about the Anniepoo CIA episode in another episode.
Yeah.
I guess. But we haven't, because of your travels and because I've been busy with work, we haven't really caught up much. So I don't actually know what you have in store for us today. Do you have anything in store? Please tell me you have stories, because clearly I do not.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about our planning channel, right, where the brain dump usually happens. And
we have a blackmail channel too.
We have a blackmail channel as well, because we ran out of pins on our DMs because Annie kept on screenshotting a bunch of things out of context and would post them in there, and then we ran out of room. But that's besides the point right now, because if you take a listen to these last couple of episodes, you might have noticed that I was actually taking a little bit more of a backseat because you were doing all of this wonderful and amazing things. And so what that has led to was that there was a bunch of brain dump that you were kind of doing in order to make like an outline on this, right?
I was.
This time around. Okay, focus in. You're getting off topic of what the point of the story is.
Sorry.
The difference this time, though, is that since I've got something to like talk about this time around, right? And he was like, okay, do you know what you want to talk about? And I'm like, yeah.
And then he didn't tell me what he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And
I even asked him beforehand, hey, like, what are some key things that you want to talk about? And he's like, I don't know. I want to talk about like these.
Don't worry about it. You're worrying too much about it. You're just gonna sit back, relax, because this is gonna be great as I walk you through a bunch of different things that I am ready to talk about. Are you ready? You look so unenthusiastic right now.
I wasn't sure if you were trying to do an impression of me, because it's like the way you were talking kind of sounded like an impression of me. I'm not gonna lie.
That was not supposed to be an impression of you.
It sounded like an impression of me, so I thought I was supposed to be offended at it, and I was a little offended at it. But
no, see, if I was doing an impression of you, I'd go from like one side of the camera to the other side while talking like this, and
I
that
don't
way
do that.
I would
do I do that?
Yes, you do.
I edited
all the time.
No, I don't. No.
Yes, you do.
I edited the past 2 podcasts. I know what I'm like. I don't do that.
Let's agree to disagree on this one. I've got many more episodes that I've edited upon which I have seen you do this. But, okay, so, a lot of things going on my side of things, because like we kind of talked about earlier, I went on vacation for about 2 weeks, just shy of 2 weeks, where it was just like a nice period to just kind of be like, man, this is a good mental rejuvenation period. And it's kind of like, obviously one of the ongoing things that we always talk about in this podcast is burnout. Just like, honestly, like, we should go to Cirque du Soleil to perform because we're very good at juggling plates, clearly, and other pins that are just flying up into the air. And every single time it feels like we can't do any more, then another pin or a plate will fly in as well. Leading up to me actually going on vacation, it definitely felt like that pressure was on. Both my day job was ramping up, but also too, now that it's announced, I was trying to put together a lot of pieces for the Marks Melee. No, Marks Melee.
Works Wimbo.
No, Marks Melee. You can check the announcement tweet on that one. I specifically crossed that one out.
am going to host a tournament called the Works Wembo just to make
This
sure.
is the most spiteful thing you've ever done to me, by the way.
I will do it. And you know I will. I won't
Yeah, I
plan
know
it
you
in
will.
2 weeks
Is
this
it-
time. I won't do that.
Is it going to be Mario Kart? Are you going to really just go down that
I don't own Mario Kart. Oh no, don't give me that look. I don't own the new Mario Kart. I own previous Mario Karts.
It's the #1 game sold on the Nintendo Switch of all time.
Well, yeah, I'm aware of that.
How do you not?
I don't own it. My brother doesn't own it, so I've never actually I don't think I've played it other like maybe more than a handful of times.
Before I went on vacation, you messaged me, hey, can you teach me how to play Mario Kart at a pro level? And I said, I can try. Was that just me?
Well, okay. So at Nintendo Live,
Yeah.
they're going to have a champion, like a Mario Kart championship, and one of the ways that you can get into Nintendo Live is if you're competing in the
Yep.
Mario Kart championship. So clearly, if I don't get into the lottery for Nintendo Live, then I just have to be better than everyone else at Mario Kart to get into Nintendo Live.
But you don't own Mario Kart.
I'm sure I can invest my money into Mario Kart.
Places.
We're not talking about Mario Kart. We're talking about your tournment. Is it Mario Kart or is it another
confused.
game?
No, it isn't.
Okay, what is it?
You told me that you were going to be less off the walls, but you keep on zagging on me when I'm expecting you to zig. Okay.
Dude. Okay, listen,
We're back and
listen.
forth.
Today,
Okay, pull it back,
oh, how
pull
the
it back.
turns have tabled.
Oh, no.
I'm reeling you in today.
So, basically, before going on vacation, lots of things kind of going on, including starting to put in the beginning pillars of what is going to be the Marks Melee, which I've been planning for like a little bit, but it's always been like conceptual. Haven't really like got down into the nitty gritty or started doing it. So, cut to me panicking before my vacation, trying to get a bunch of different random things done. I go on vacation and I'm just like, wow. I get to just kind of enjoy my time and like not have to worry about a lot of this esports stuff because I'm just hanging out in Scotland and it's great. There's cows and they're extremely hairy. Look, I got a little plushie for a Highland cow that's right behind me. That's for all the video people over there. And it was fantastic. Lots of sheep in Scotland. Didn't expect that one, but that was kind of cool. And then went to London, filmed that little video for the Pushing Buttons podcast and came back. And when I came back, I was feeling ready to get back into things, like this is going to be the time. And so I've started really pushing to get the Marks Melee underway. You said you were going to reel me in. So I came back, started planning the Marks Melee a little bit more. And honestly, one of the biggest things, I think that this is always the case whenever I do anything like something that is showcased out to the world, you get kind of nervous about it because you can't, even though you've done all the work that you can possibly do, you've optimized everything so that you're going to get the best possible outcome. There's always a little part in the back of your mind that's always going to be like, what if this doesn't go the way that I'm expecting? What if it just falls flat on its head? What if I've spent all of this time trying to do things and have worried countless nights just trying to make sure that I'm not missing something? And it all just kind of falls apart. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of this planning process for this specific tournament has been that. It's been extremely terrifying trying to even approach this because I have such a narrow idea on what goes into a tournament because I am purely just on the production side. So I only know things where like on a needs to know basis that casters need to know. Coming into this, it's like, even yourself, where you're like, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. And I'm like, I don't even know what questions to ask because I don't know what's going on. And it does cause a lot of anxiety. But, there is a certain point where I was like talking to this with enough people that I felt like I was pretty stable and I could kind of get things off the ground. And so I just kind of was just like, all right, we just gotta rip the Band-Aid off sometimes, you can always keep on delaying things and you can delay things forever, but you just have to kind of get it over with and then hop into it. And since making that like announcement tweet and since I've started, or actually people have reached out to me as well to try and get involved with everything, like there was that weird sense where like, if I was to use a Souls game comparison, right? You walk up there, you got the big scary boss who's gonna one-shot you, and all you've got is this little beastly sword.
No.
And you're like, I'm not ready for this one. It's all gonna go bad. But then, I was very pleasantly surprised that a couple of people as well just kind of like hopped in and were willing to help out. They saw this as an opportunity as well as for them to make it a learning experience. And at the end of the day, that's the core of my tournament. I want this yes, I'm gonna, I want to make sure the players have a good time, and we are raising money for charity, all of that type of stuff. But at the core of it, I want to make sure that I'm providing an environment for myself to learn a little bit more about the production side of things, as well as give some other people some opportunities to either talk to other people in the space, or, this is their opportunity to try and show us something else, right? I want this to be something that is going to allow for a lot more opportunity. And with people kind of hopping in there and offering their assistance, and me being like, oh my goodness, I can just ask somebody instead of trying to figure it out on my own because they've got some experience in that realm. It's honestly been a much more positive experience than I was expecting. And even though I do think that the fear, the Spider-Man movie just came out. I've been watching a lot of film breakdowns.
I haven't seen it. I haven't
seen it either. Whereas I was going to reference a scene from the original one, Into the Spider-Verse, where it's not about you don't just become Spider-Man. You have to take that leap, and then that's how you become Spider-Man. That's kind of what it felt like. You just have to kind of just go for it and really hope that things are going to go well, but figure it out as you kind of get through all of it. And so that's been my experience with planning the Marks and Anniepoo happening on June 24th. This episode's going to definitely come out before then. And so you never know. There could be a couple of fires that go up there, but that's just part of the tournament planning process. So we're going to figure that out together. But yeah.
According to my calendar, the Marks Melee will happen about a week and a half after this episode airs. So I'm this personal question, honestly, I'm not going to frame it as let the people know. I'm going to frame it as, can you tell me when registration's going to open? Because I'm personally invested in this as well. I have a team.
I'm working on that. I want to make sure that I get the charity information, stuff out there first. I've got everything set up so that when I do make the actual team registration form, then I've got all the appropriate links, and on top of that too, I've got the time frame figured out. There are still a couple of things going back, and also too, just to be completely honest with you, when I got back, everyone at work was like, oh my god, we missed you so much, can you also now help us out with this and this? And I've been like, hold up a minute, things just got really intense. I really needed this vacation to refresh so I can work really hard at work and then on this tournament as well. So the team registration forms will definitely be out by the time that this episode is out. But I'm hoping to get something ready by the end of this week.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I will be looking out for it.
Do you just want me to I could just DM you the link. You know what? No, I'm not going to DM you the link. You said you're going to be looking out for it. I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay, a couple notes on that. And let's I had a few questions for you, so that connects really well. Something I wanted to ask you is, you mentioned there have been times where I go to you and I'm like, hey, just let me know if you have any questions on stuff, right? And you don't know what to ask. It's from my side, having done a few tournaments myself too, it's I know what you need to ask, but it's really weird watching you not know what to ask and not knowing where to step in, because I value and acknowledge that you want to do all of this by yourself. You want to learn and just get those baby steps through. But I
you hear that? I'm a baby.
You're basically a baby. You're really old. You're like Benjamin Button. You're really old, but you're a baby. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, good reference.
Yeah, he's really old, but he's a baby. That's like you.
He reverse age. Okay, continue. He's old, but a baby. The whole plot of the movie is he ages backwards. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, but that's he's old, but a baby. He's really old and he's about to die, but he's a baby. I also really love that movie, by the way. If anyone wants to have a really deep conversation about it sometime, I love that movie. And having physical loss of the shut up. I can reel myself back in. I love having philosophical conversations about them. Anyways, I would love to look at that form in advance, because if we're having a moment right now where I can see some potential issues with, because low elo tournaments, you didn't mention this, but this tournament is for plat players and below.
Yep.
And there are some very specific rules and precautions that you should put in place in order to prevent smurfing, essentially prevent smurfing, cheating, account sharing of any sort. And I just kind of want to see and make sure that you have those in place before you open registration. So if you do want to share that with me, I would love to do that for you. But if you don't want to, I also will let you learn from your own possible mistakes. I have no clue what this form looks like. So
yeah, I mean, hey, I'll send it to you anyways, because I might be missing something key as well that I just like haven't even conceptualized in my tiny baby brain. But it's interesting that you bring that up, because I had this discussion with my roommate who, like, we're co-planning this kind of together, because he's also been interested in trying to get into the esports space a little bit. And okay, so first of all, the tournament format is Swift Play, right? And we're only having like 8 teams in there. And what I learned actually from working on your tournament is that Swift Play can happen like really, really, really fast. Like you're just like 15 minutes. Oh, an entire thing is done. Oh, that was a lot quicker than a single map. That's kind of crazy. Of course, that makes sense. But what can end up happening is you can have an entire series finish up before what the normal allotted time you would give for a full one Valorant map is going to be. And so we were just kind of like, because we're limiting this at 8 teams, we were just going to go with making it easier to sign up and not have such tenuous like restrictions, because it is also just a charity tournament. It's also running alongside, I believe, the Soccer Cup. I just found out is running on the same weekend. But that's needless to say, because I should know what the options are before making any decisions moving forwards. And I think that's actually one of the key things that is another takeaway from this experience, is to actually explore the options instead of just pigeonholing yourself and being like, oh, this is how it is and this is how it's always going to be, because then otherwise you can't make the right decision and you get overwhelmed.
Yeah. You know, that's one of the hardest things about being a tournament organizer, is that there are a lot of options out there. You don't always know what those options are. And whenever you ask people for advice, it's like everybody is telling you something different, because everyone has different experiences. Everybody's coming from different games and formats. Wait, so I know I've given you a fair share of advice, but since you've had people come into your DMs because you were asking for tournament admins, production staff, etc., clearly you've had some more experience with that, yeah?
A little bit. And I really do just mean like a little bit, because I think generally speaking, the people who DM'd me were people who I already know what they do. And a lot of the stuff that we had actually talked about on our previous episode, to be like, you know, I think it was the red flags episode, where it's just like, don't just be like, hey, like none of that. Like it was like, oh, okay, I already know who this person is, but they all went through the courtesy of letting me know like all the information, and the light just turned on behind you. And like, you know, sent their reels, sent their previous work experience and stuff like that, even though I was already just like, okay, like, yes, like, thank you for messaging me about this. I already know kind of what your work is just because we're in the same spaces. But like, yeah, like, let's further this conversation type of thing. So, yeah.
Well, yes, but other, like, about, you know, advice, giving advice on tournament organizing, and like seeing so many options and advice for what to do for your Valorant tournament, even deciding like what format kind of bracket and what game mode that you want to run. How did you come to the conclusion that you wanted to do double elimination Swift Play? Wait, is it double elimination Swift Play?
No, it isn't.
Sorry.
You just swore again. Now we have to do the tag.
I didn't follow through with it. I just made the beginning sounds.
You just exhaled.
Yeah.
No, so the tournament format actually is the tournament format that we had previously discussed, because that fit the best. We jumped between yeah.
You and I discussed this. Okay, got it.
I was gonna say thank you for listening at the beginning of this episode, but clearly maybe not.
Okay.
So what we're going to be looking at doing is doing a round robin format, and then it's going to be a single elimination bracket for the 4 teams that do make it into the playoffs. So that kind of makes sense for the format for me, but it just okay. You are asking a lot of details about the actual, like, how the tournament's going to work and stuff like that, but I want to give the backstory for, like, what that process was like. Because, I could stand here and this could sound like an advertisement in my opinion, but let's be honest, if you're coming into this podcast, you want to hear about the panic mode that kind of happened in my brain, as well as my roommate's brain, and the many iterations that had kind of come together for, like, what a bracket looked like. And this, honestly, was the most, like, I hate this. I never want to think about this ever again. The bracket and the date. Those are the biggest problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, from my perspective, right, I'm doing this for the very first time. I'm expecting it to be a little bit troublesome. I'm expecting it to be a little bit difficult. Also, too, like, a lot of the people who I kind of want to invite as, like, teams for this tournament are people that I actually know in real life, just to kind of get them a little bit more involved with the Valorant community, because I think that esports is dope, and I kind of want to share that piece with them. And some of them do play Valorant. They don't play it that seriously, but this is kind of like a fun way to engage, right? So with all these things in mind, it was just like, okay, well, maybe we do 2 weekday nights, then it's a 2-day tournament. Oh, but that doesn't make sense because all the people my age these days have, like, intramural sports afterwards or something like that, or, they're going out for drinks with their coworkers and whatnot. Okay, so let's move it to the weekend. We can do a 2-day weekend tournament. Wait a second, this kind of sucks because, first of all, there are a lot of things going on in the world of Valorant all the time, right? And on top of that, too, that is a lot of planning on my end. And then Swift Play came out, and I was like, wait a second, let's just do Swift Play because that's a little bit more bite-sized. It'll simulate the intensity of a full tournament without you having to wait 30 to 40 minutes for a map to finish, let alone an entire series. Okay, let's start pivoting it into Swift Play. Okay, double elimination bracket. Maybe that's kind of cool. I've literally written up all of these diagrams and have photos saved somewhere on how we could potentially split up the broadcast. And at some point I was even just like, maybe this is a 2-weekend tournament. How about that? That way we can make sure we get everything that we ever wanted. So it felt like my brain was, like, exploding into every single possibility, and then it was kind of just like, oh Lord, everything is possible. What do I do?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I talked to some other tournament organizers, but mostly just yourself after the.
I was gonna say, like, you talked to
Arena?
other people, Anniepoo Arena.
Yeah. It wasn't until the Anniepoo Arena, because when you announced that and you also wanted to do it Swift Play, I was like, first of all, yes, I am going to help you out with the broadcast.
So basically, you were using me as a case study.
I mean, if you want to say it like that, yes.
As
because
a case study.
You were basically running a put-together version of what I would want to run. Mine is going to be the cardboard duct taped together, and we're going to figure it out. But you've already got the experience under your belt. So let me take a look at what you're doing, and then see how I can try and get myself to even close to that level of, like, how the tournament is going to run. So that was kind of what the goal ended up becoming. You look like you have a question for me first.
I'm flabbergasted.
That's a good word.
Amazed.
Okay, less good word.
I'm just in awe that you think Anniepoo Arena was not a duct tape cardboard put together tournament, because it 100% felt like it the entire time. But to be fair, it was also like my the like 4th or 5th time I had done an Anniepoo tournament, so it like I learned a new lesson every single time. I learned a new lesson every single time, and I'm glad that you have been there to witness most of the mistakes. So hopefully you don't make them yourself. But we connected about talking about your tournament, right? You saw how Anniepoo Arena worked, do Swift Play, whatever. Yep. I drew you some of the aforementioned diagrams that See, we
did talk about this. You remembered.
We did talk about it, but I still I feel concerned because I'm like, I feel like we didn't talk enough, but I don't know, like, what else are you, like, working on in the background? I don't really know. And so I really, like, once again, like, I can help you with anything you need. You're I can't tell if I should be going in there and be like, hey, I have a bad feeling about this, but you seem really S-word about stubborn, really stubborn about figuring stuff out by yourself. And I'm just like it's a casual tournament, but you also have money on the line. So
yeah. It is just like $150 prize pool.
It's a lot of money.
Is that considered a lot of money?
For a casual tournament.
Oh, I didn't actually know the scale of it. If I'm being completely honest with you. Okay, so maybe there are a couple more things to discuss.
I mean, it's okay. So it's pretty standard for a streamer tournament. Yours is technically not a streamer tournament.
No.
But it is like $100 prize pool is pretty standard for like, like rec level tournaments and such.
Yeah.
But so the concern I have is like $100 is enough for people to want to come in and smurf.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Man, you got me. Okay, so once again, this is harkening back to like before I went on vacation. I thought you were about to be like, your format is really bad and you should reconsider everything about it. And I was about to freak the fuck out.
When I was drawing you diagrams?
Yes.
I was drawing you diagrams to explain things.
No, I know. And like at the end of the day, the format that I went with was the one that you explained because I'm like, this makes the most sense for me, right? Yes. And I've already been going around telling people like, that is the format. And so when you were talking here, I got really concerned for a second because I thought you were about to be like, yeah, so I thought about it more and maybe that's not it.
I'm learning with everybody as, we're recording this podcast, and I am very concerned about smurfing because I've seen it happen. Not in my tournaments because I have very strict precautions after seeing it happen in other tournaments. Okay. But I'm concerned.
I will talk to you then about like how to kind of prevent smurfing a little bit more. Just because, like even though it is just like a charity tournament, if people are going to be bad people about it, I kind of don't want that in there. So, well, that is a discussion that we'll have outside of the podcast. And I also, like, once again, I don't want pushing buttons to just become this, like, brainstormy, this is the space that we are going to use to plan a tournament because...
Push button plan tournament.
Pretty much. Needless to say, I think you can also just kind of, like... This is doing a very good example of putting me on the spot where I don't feel, like... See, once again, when I started this, I felt pretty confident in like, everything is kind of going good.
Started the recording today, or?
Pretty much. And then you just throw a couple of wrenches into the plans, and then it's just like, panic.
You'll be okay.
Is there a disco? Because we're panicking right now.
You should get a disco ball in your. I feel like a disco ball like in your room actually would be a really great setup. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But like you have the purple lights and then you have the blue lights, and I think like if you had a spotlight on a disco ball and it was rotating, that would look really cool in your recordings.
That would look really cool in my recordings.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so also too, another thing that happened when I came back from the UK is I looked at my bank account and went, hot damn.
So no disco balls.
So maybe, because let's think about it. You got to buy the disco ball first, and then you also got to buy the light to go onto the disco ball to properly project it. And
something to hang it from the ceiling, like an anchor, not an anchor, but a hook.
Probably another power bar, because my power bar is currently full unplugged, so I would need two more things. Yeah. So no disco ball yet until, I don't know, maybe I'm going to have to work more esports to get enough money to afford this disco ball.
Just get a, like a dollar store disco ball. I'm sure they have
I could. Yeah, but also, don't you need to, like, spin it? Like...
Yeah, just, like, poke it with a stick every once in a while.
All right.
Okay. We're getting distracted.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Hold on a second. I need to poke the disco ball.
Okay.
Annie, you should get a disco ball.
I mean, I do have something I could hang it on.
I'm just saying, the disco ball is hanging itself up in your room. Okay,
So-
we're getting distracted.
Disco poo.
We are getting distracted. Let's bring this back around. To kind of round out this whole tournament discussion, it's been a stressful process. Actually, I ran into Moon, who does a lot of like the Boom TV type of stuff at the COD Major 5. And I mentioned to her that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm planning this like tournament and stuff like that. And she just looked at me and I was just like, I have a feeling you're going to be like, damn, casting is it for esports. After kind of going through some of this struggle. And I was like, I can understand why you think that, because you've probably only mostly interacted with me either in a social setting or when I'm only working casting. But I do kind of like to get my hands in some of the nitty gritty. But also too, I'm starting to understand some of the anxiety that comes about when planning things.
But you're doing it for the first time.
That's true. But this is very much like at a small scale. If I ever thought about scaling up, which, let's be honest, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, if I did it once, I'm going to do it bigger and better next time. It's going to just cause more anxiety. But we're just going to stumble through it. It's fine. Everything is fine.
No, you're not going to stumble through it. You're not going to stumble through it. You've invested so much time in this already. You prepared for this even a month before the freaking tournament. You've actually been thinking about this for a while. Like there's been some thought going into this, so it's going to be good. You're gonna do what it takes to make the work. What is it called? The Marks.
Was this all just a lead up for you to make that dumb joke?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what it's called. It's either the Marks Mania or the Marks Melee, but I feel like it's not the Marks Melee because then that would be like Smash. But if it's the Marks Mania, I feel like that's not as cool as the Marks Melee, so I'm confused.
It's the Marks Melee. It's the Marks Melee.
Okay.
I thought about, what do you call it? Because you know how they have like March Madness? So I was just like, oh, Marks Madness. And then I was like, wait a second.
March.
I replaced the March with my name.
But it's not March right now, so it would be more fun if it was Marks Madness in March.
That would be more fun. Regardless.
So next year, Marks Madness.
In March.
In March.
In March. It's the Marks Madness.
I don't even remember where I was gonna go. I messed up the name of your tournament, and it just left. The thought left my brain.
If you're ever wondering if Annie is in a stressful situation, you wonder fight or flight, I think you can put together what the normal response would be. Oh man, but okay, so that actually. So actually, yeah, like that was one of those examples where, I got a little bit of support and just kind of like, oh, cool. Like it is also, there is also just a really nice feeling to like when other people around who are very familiar with that type of stuff are just like, yeah, it's going to be great. And actually, Moon was the one who suggested that I just draw it on the whiteboard, and that became my whiteboard announcement because I was like, I have no goddamn idea how I'm going to like make some announcement graphic. I mean, I can kind of Photoshop, but it doesn't look great. And then she was like, well, like, where are you like writing things down? And I'm like, I mean, right now I'm just like writing it on a whiteboard. She's like, why don't you just like do your announcement on your whiteboard and just take a picture and there you go. And I'm like, wait a second, it's genius. Speaking of a cardboard duct tape put together tournament, this fits that aesthetic perfectly. Yeah. And so I spent a couple of hours just like on the whiteboard trying to draw the logo. I spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to figure out how to do the Valorant logo. I'm not gonna lie, that one was a little rough because I wasn't looking at it. It was one of those
you
things.
couldn't have just Googled it or like opened up your computer and like looked for the Valorant logo?
That's the thing. I would look at it and be like, oh, yeah, I understand what it looks like. And then try and do it. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is this not working out the way that I did? And then I realized that, like, you know how there's like the big part of the letter and then the small part of the letter? I thought the little part of the letter had to squish in so that it looked like a rectangle instead of an actual V. And so I kept on aligning it, and it looked so funny. And
like
I was embarrassed.
Like a little piece of land that connects the two lands.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we were talking about islands before we started recording. why that's coming to mind.
We were talking about islands. Seattle is not next to the ocean.
You don't need to reopen that wound, eh?
We get ocean water coming in, but we are not next to the ocean. That's all. Welcome to your geography lesson of the day.
We can put hashtag educational on our podcast text now. Let's go.
I think this is fairly educational. This is educational about esports and how to, we're just working through your tournament things. Things and stuff.
Yeah.
Tutorial session, kind of.
Kind of.
Will you do a tutorial session for the tournament content?
Wait. I made the face and then you immediately stopped and I'm like, uh-oh, I've completely lost my train of thought. What were you? Can you re-say the sentence?
No, I won't. I'm going to move on to a different topic.
Okay.
Chaotic Anniepoo fashion.
Yep. That is chaotic.
I didn't have another topic. I was hoping I would come up with one by the time.
Okay, so let me talk about something else.
No, I don't want you to talk about other things. I want to talk about things too. Except like anything that's coming to mind right now is not necessarily relevant to this podcast. So I'm like, I shouldn't say those things out loud. And I didn't.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. My voice just cracked.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Shut the fuck up. I'm going through puberty.
Damn, that's 4.
God dang it. No. It's okay. It's fine if we bleep it out, right?
I'm not bleeping it out.
I think that you have failed to consider that I own the raw audio and I can bleep it out before I send it to you.
I think you fail to recognize your own timing. You probably won't have enough time to go into your audio to find those 4 spots that you swore and then bleep them out.
I don't think you understand how much determination I have.
I know, you know what? When you are challenged, you like to prove other people wrong. So I will happily be proven wrong here if you have the time to go through it.
I will do it immediately after we finish recording today.
And the only people who are going to really know what happened are going to be the listeners at home. They're either going to get to this part and be like, what? Or, oh yeah, I heard those bleeps.
Yeah, like, why the heck are there so many cows in this podcast, man? Like, I don't get it. I met 3 cows this past weekend.
Why did you meet 3 cows? Oh yeah, you went to the fair thing, right?
How did you know about what I was doing over the weekend?
Because you posted it on Instagram.
I did?
Didn't you?
No?
I'm pretty sure I saw somebody hanging out with cows, so I might have just assumed it was you.
It was not me. I mean, I was hanging out with cows, but I swear, like, I can look through my Instagram thing after that. I'm pretty sure I didn't post it on Instagram because my phone was dying and I needed to be able to navigate home, so I ignored my phone the entire time I was on the farm.
Well, we're only one way to figure this one.
Are you
okay?
We are spying on me.
The CIA are here. No. Okay, let's bring things back in.
No, we don't have to. This is weird. How did you know? What was the other kind of animal that I saw there?
I want to say sheep, but that might just be me projecting because I went to Scotland.
There were alpacas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's kind of weird how you knew they were furry.
Any other weekend plans you would like to share?
I harvested 200 pounds of rhubarb at a different farm.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the rhubarb quickly?
I harvested 200 pounds of rhubarb over the weekend at a farm that I don't own.
What, like... What can you explain? 200 pounds is a lot of pounds of rhubarb, Annie.
200 pounds of rhubarb is a lot of pounds of rhubarb, and it wasn't just me. It was a group of maybe 9 ish volunteers, but there is a farm that it's about 90 minutes, I want to say between an hour to 90 minutes away out of the city. And this farm produces vegetables and fruits specifically for food banks around the greater Seattle area. So they donate all of their produce to food banks or distributors for like households that are facing I'm trying to find my college words. Food insecurity.
Hey, just so you know, that word used outside of college as well.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I'm aware of that. I'm very aware of that.
That's good. That's important.
I spent a quarter studying food insecurity for one of my programs in university, and that's where I started. That's when I started volunteering at food banks and stuff. I don't volunteer at the same food bank that I did during university, but the one that I do now, we went on a field trip over to a farm and harvested rhubarb because it's rhubarb season.
200 pounds of it.
200 pounds.
That's a lot of rhubarb.
Well, you know, we got people to feed. They're gonna make rhubarb crisp, and I think like some kind of soup using it as well.
Okay. I mean, how much of like an actual rhubarb is like usable? Is it like, because there's not like, it's not like 200 pounds of rhubarb equal 200 pounds of food for people, right?
Well, I mean, like, it's 200 pounds of the usable parts of rhubarb.
You know, I've got a very fundamental misunderstanding of what rhubarb is, so I'm just going to...
Okay, so rhubarb looks like celery. It's basically like larger red celery, and you can't eat the leaves. Fun fact, rhubarb, like, leaves are poisonous if you eat too many of them. Like, eating one won't kill you, but, like, and it'll probably at most, I'm not a medical professional. I also don't really know that much about foraging, so please. But from what other people have told me, if you eat too much rhubarb leaves, you will suffer negative effects. In the same way that if you drink too much vitamin C, you will experience negative side effects, and I'm not going to say more than that. I'm just going to say my name is Anniepoo for a reason. And it has to do with overdosing on vitamin C.
This raises so many other questions.
That's actually not the origin story of Anniepoo.
I was about to say, didn't realize emergency had such a grasp on your life.
No. I made that up on the spot right now. I also made up the name Anniepoo on the spot. It had nothing to do with actual poo when I made it.
Yeah. We've talked about that on a previous episode, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I gotta let people know that that's not the real origin of my name. Is like the vitamin C story, and just in case they didn't hear the previous episode. I'm sorry, I got us way off track.
That's okay, we need to wrap up. Okay, so...
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Pushing Punches podcast.
To tie us together, stay tuned. If you're listening into this episode, and you probably follow us on Twitter at PushButtonsPod, or you follow us individually on our individual Twitters, but you're probably going to be seeing a lot more about the Marks Melee coming up, and yeah. Then you can watch the madness unfold. I'll do my best to try and not let it bleed through too much into my normal social media feed of me being like, oh God, pressure's on. But we'll see how things go. Twitter circles exist for a reason, right? Okay.
If they work.
But oh yeah, that's true too. Honestly, I don't even use Twitter circles because I'm just kind of like, if I want to yell about something,
but you wouldn't know because you're not. I'm sorry. I don't use my Twitter circles either.
Why are you going for my jugular at the end of the episode? Okay, well, on that happy note, if you enjoyed this episode and the grand return to form, I only missed a week or one episode, then make sure to follow, like, subscribe, do all of those things. And on top of that too, if you're listening to this on a podcasting platform, then make sure to leave us a review. And of course, if you write something, that would be extra helpful as well. You're literally just doing all the K-pop hand signs on Hey, we're on YouTube as well if you want to watch the video badness and me poking the disco ball, if you will. Well, that just about wraps things up. I think I've covered everything. It's been a while since I've done this, but Annie, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Oh, I thought you were going to forget. No.
No? Okay.
Do you want me to say the line? Sorry, sorry, hold on. Can you ask me again? Annie, do you have any final thoughts? Shh. I'm getting my final thoughts. I am LFT. Looking for thoughts. If you have any, please send them over. You can DM me on Twitter at pushbuttonspod.
You almost called us push butt.
Yeah, again.
And also, too, hey, if you're following Annie on Twitter, there's a wonderful thread about whether or not Annie chose to choose violence. And I'm curious to see what the update is going to be today. Well,
There's a what?
Thank you, guys. There's a thread about you choosing on whether or not to be difficult, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I
Yeah.
haven't updated that in a while.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks for brand new episodes of the Pushing Buttons podcast. So make sure to stick around till then, and we'll catch you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.